Did you know that Pooh Shiesty committed an armed robbery while wearing green? Just 2 hours later, McLaren flaunted it on Instagram before escaping on a private jet to evade the feds.
The barrage of sending 2 people to the hospital, and it lands a rapper in jail. 7 Sheldon Fox with the exclusive.
Police and prosecutors say Pooh Shiesty was part of the group that ended up in this parking lot that October afternoon where the flew, and it happened right across the street from the police department and town hall here in Bay Harbor Islands.
Shai faced serious charges for the robbery he committed, but with the help of his lawyers, he managed to secure a deal for his release in 2025. However, his shortened sentence sparked backlash, leading his best friend, Big 30, to take to Instagram to defend him.
My mama, if you see some paperwork, my mama, I do whatever y'all tell me to do. Cause my eyebrow, mustache, hair, I throw my chains in the river and jump in and if Shiesty snitch. Go home, take one to the. I ain't got no on
Rappers were dissing him for snitching without knowing the full truth. Academics later broke down his current jail situation, highlighting how it's not normal for someone in his position.
But salute to Pooh Shiesty, who looked like he's absolutely chilling in jail. My boy got a little Richard Millie, you know what I mean? Got the haircut all right, you know what I mean?
They be playing Fortnite Mobile.
In jail? Oh, he got the Timbs on. They look fresh as well. Yo, this so chilling in prison. He got 2 watches. Like, you know what I mean? Like 2 watches, not even 1.
To understand Shai's official release date, it's important to look at the latest updates on his case. Today, academics tweeted that Pooh Shiesty is currently in a halfway house and will be home soon. According to the original crime documents, Shiesty and his friend had set up a meeting for high-end sneakers and narcotics. He arrived at the meet in a bright green McLaren, and as they waited for the sellers, he and his friend planned to steal the items. When the sellers arrived, they handed Shiesty the sneakers, and he began a legit check to ensure they weren't fakes while negotiating the price. If the sellers had agreed to lower the price, things might have gone differently, but instead the situation escalated into a heated argument. Moments later, Shiesty grabbed a firearm from his waistband and aimed it at the sellers, who tried to flee behind their vehicle. However, they weren't quick enough. Shiesty fired, hitting one in the backside and the other in the hip. While Shiesty handled the sellers, his friend secured the sneakers and narcotics in the trunk. Before leaving, Shiesty ensured the sellers weren't making any moves before hopping into the driver's seat. However, a critical mistake occurred when the butterfly doors of the McLaren opened. His Louis Vuitton bag fell onto the parking lot without him noticing. He sped off, but the bag containing over $40,000 was later used as evidence in his arrest. Ironically, despite pulling off the robbery, he lost the same amount of money he had stolen, if not more, while racking up multiple felonies. His escape plan involved heading to the nearest Miami airport, where he boarded a private jet and fled Florida. However, it wasn't long before the feds caught up with him just a few days later.
The town of Bay Harbor Islands says you're wanted with it. He's also charged with armed robbery, battery in their affidavit, saying the 2 left the state in a private.
Shiesty was booked and processed in the local jail, where he posted a $30,000 bond for his release. However, just 2 months later, while out on bond, he was arrested again as he prepared to stand trial.
An arrest was issued June 3rd. It's charging you. You have 2 attorneys here, or is it? I'm sorry, 2 attorneys in the state. Go ahead. You want to announce again?
Brad Cohen and Sam Zegny for the defendant.
Have you had a chance to review?
Yes, Judge, we have.
As a result of his case, Shiesty pled guilty, which led to a surprisingly short sentence given the severity of his crime. Academics announced that Pooh Shiesty had been sentenced to 63 months in prison, despite originally facing up to 8 years.
He was facing 8 years.
When the Memphis rapper's official sentence was revealed,
and when academics
many were in
announced it,
disbelief.
no one could believe it was so short.
And I think he's coming home like next year, maybe the year after. However, it looked like he's, taking responsibility of whatever happened and doing his time, not crying, clearly trying to let people know he's straight. And I do think when he comes back out, granted, as long as it's not like too far from now, if he comes back in a year, he's good. I still think even within 2 years.
But this
wasn't anything new for
Pooh
Shiesty.
Many believe he was trying to paint an image to help boost his rap career by committing a crime. However, it was revealed that Shiesty's been doing crime like this his entire life. The only difference is that he has
The only difference now was the spotlight that
There's a
came with
spotlight
his
now
music
from his
career.
music career.
Yeah, I mean, look, Pooh Shiesty was probably the biggest artist that he signed in recent memory. But Pooh Shiesty had a history of crimes before he ever signed to Gucci. It ain't like, you know, he was like a school kid and Gucci suddenly put him in a bad direction. No, he was already doing it. Gucci wasn't around when he was doing all the crazy shit that got him locked up for. It just is what it is.
Pooh Shiesty's in prison right now for somebody in the ass with a go while sitting inside of a McLaren.
Yeah.
Some Grand Theft Auto shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that's who he was before that. So it's like, that ain't a surprise. And Gucci ain't gonna tell you like he can't just change who you are as a person. So it's like, you know, but people come up with the conspiracy theories and the life insurance, whatever.
The main reason for Shy's short sentence was that he signed a plea deal, but he also entered a proffer agreement with the feds. A proffer deal allows a defendant to provide detailed information about a crime in exchange for immunity or a reduced sentence. By cooperating, Shy managed to cut his maximum sentence from life in prison down to just 63 months. However, once news of his deal surfaced, other rappers began calling him out for snitching. While it seemed that way, all he did was provide the full details of how the crime unfolded, making it easier for prosecutors and the judge to handle the case. This cooperation significantly reduced his sentence, but it also meant admitting to mistakes, including the fact that he had committed an armed robbery right next to a police station. The entire crime was captured by the police station's cameras, and once gunshots were heard, law enforcement arrived at the scene within minutes. Their swift response meant Shy had no chance to retrieve his Louis Vuitton bag, which had fallen out of his McLaren during his escape. That bag became a key piece of evidence in the case. At first, authorities had no suspects, but tips from the public quickly pointed them toward Shy, as he had been seen flexing the same green McLaren on Instagram the day of the robbery. Still, the feds needed more proof, so they combed through his social media. They found numerous photos of him flaunting money, zoomed in on the serial numbers, and discovered that one of the bills in his Instagram pictures matched a bill found in the Louis Vuitton bag at the crime scene. With both the McLaren and the money linking him directly to the robbery, Shy was taken into custody. Even crazier, his team continued using the same green McLaren in his music video for Gone MIA. Despite the mounting evidence against him, other rappers kept calling him a snitch, damaging his reputation in the industry. In response, Shy released a bold statement from jail, addressing his critics and asserting his dominance. He claimed he remained untouched behind bars, had millions in double digits, and was still the king of Memphis. He dismissed his doubters, saying they weren't on his level financially or otherwise, and warned them to stop playing with his name. He assured his fans and supporters that he saw everything and had something special planned for them upon his release. He ended his message with a strong declaration that he was coming back with a vengeance, ready to go all out. However, this wasn't the first time Shy had shared such a statement. He had made similar claims before his initial arrest, showing that despite everything, he still stood tall while on the inside.
Before I got signed, like breaking news. The verse on breaking news made everybody go crazy. And folks started saying I'm their favorite rapper already, so I'm gonna stop.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It just made me go harder.
So the success kind of gave you the confidence to really keep it up?
Yeah, they rocking with me for sure.
Man.
This is my first verse.